Right, we've got just over a week left now in the January transfer window, and Chelsea have been fairly quiet for once. Normally, we're going full throttle in the January transfer window. We're going full throttle in every transfer window, to be honest. But this one has been a little bit quiet, but it has been a little bit of movement over the last couple of days, and there is the potential still to get some last-minute deals done. And here to discuss those last-minute deals with me is my good friend and channel fan favourite, Josh Aveste. Josh, what's happening, mate?
Mate, I just love some transfers. I'm ready to talk about them. Let's get into it. January has always been for Chelsea Football Club a bit of a time where we don't get the best deals done. So I'm very interested to see what we end up doing, and maybe not doing very much is better.
But before we get into all that, I quickly want to speak to you lot about my new weekly series where I predict 4 football results with a chance to win big. It is in association with new channel partners Stakemate, and this weekend we have got a banger. We've got a big round of FA Cup fixtures. So my 4 results I am going to go for is going to be Chelsea to beat Aston Villa. I am going to go with Man City to beat Spurs. I'm going to go with Luton to get the away win at Goodison Park against Everton. And finally, sorry Brian, I am going to go with Fulham to get the win against Newcastle. And at the time of recording, by just sticking on £5, that has the potential to return roughly around 280 quid for me. The link to the Stakemate app is now in the description, but before clicking on it, you need to remember that you do need to be 18 years old or over. You do need to be living in the UK, and most importantly, you need to remember to gamble responsibly. So let me know what you think of my predictions. Let me know who you will be backing in this weekend's round of FA Cup fixtures, and remember the link to the Stakemate app is in the description. So help support me by supporting the guys that support this channel. Let's get into the video. I mean, we have started to do bits and pieces over the last few days. Obviously, look, we know that Ian Matson's now gone out on loan to Borussia Dortmund. We know that there's going to be a little bit of movement on the Armando Broja situation before the end of this window. We're hearing that we want permanent sales for some players, and then we're hearing it might be loan moves to increase the value, and we're going to speak about what that exactly means for our strategy going forward. We also had the FFP stats released, or whatever it was, the FFP stats, the FFP situations. Obviously, we know that Everton were in trouble, Nottingham Forest were in trouble, Chelsea not in trouble.
In the clear. We knew that was coming. And do you know what? It's funny. It shows when you look at the income that we brought in, the amount of transfers that we've done, I think it's proven, mate, that people don't necessarily know what they're talking about just generally in the football fan audience with FFP and how it works, because myself included. Well, yeah, and me, to be fair. But I think when you bring in that amount of money that we did last summer, and yes, we spent a lot of money, but it's amortized over 8 years because that's how it works. You know, we had 8 years to split those fees up.
Yeah,
We've
but look
got some money in the bank.
Look what bringing in that amount of money cost us, man. Like, we're so much worse off without Mason Mount and Kai Havertz.
So much worse off. I would love to have Kai Havertz up front tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
I would love that. In that game against Middlesbrough, I can't think of a better number 9 than Kai Havertz. Could you?
Oh, better number 9 in that game against Middlesbrough and Kai Havertz.
Lukaku?
No, Lukaku I don't think would be better. Mikel Forsell?
Mikel Forsell, mate, was a great player.
He was actually a good player, wasn't
Kesman was a better player. Mutu was a better player.
Yeah. Mutu was a decent player. He just had a lot of party habits.
Crespo?
Yeah.
Come on.
Crespo's second season, when he came back off loan, scored in the opening day against Wigan, didn't he? Do you remember? He was actually all right, Crespo.
Falcao, would you rather have Falcao up front?
Oh, United Falcao weren't bad. Chelsea Falcao weren't really the best. Eto'o was half decent.
Yeah.
Half decent for us. Pato was shocking. Got a goal against Aston Villa, and that was about it. Who else? Any others to hit me with?
I'm at the end now.
Yeah.
I'm at the end.
Yeah. We've had
Chris Sutton,
no. No, piss poor.
Did you see the stats about how much Chris Sutton would have been in, like, with inflation? Chris Sutton was like £100 million player.
Really?
Yeah.
What would with current day inflation, what would Andy Carroll have gone for that time?
Mate, what?
What did he go for? 50 mil?
It was a lot of money. What a player though. Yeah. Now playing in League 2 France, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
He was playing for Reading or someone recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, there you go. Well, he's been around, hasn't he?
Yeah. Good lad.
Good lad.
Another good lad who I'm very, very happy to welcome back. Long-time watchers of the channel will know that I have been very high on this man. It is someone I admire a lot. Cesare, I should say, Casadei.
Cesare Cesare.
Is that how you say it?
Well, I'm just doing my Italian accent.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Italian viewers, please do correct us. Please do.
Casadei's back. I'm happy to see him back, man. Like, would have been happy for him to stay at Leicester. I've been doing a bit of loan watch. And he hasn't had as many minutes as I thought maybe he would at Leicester. I thought he'd be like guaranteed first team starter. But when he has been on the pitch, he's been impressed. And I think there's been a lot of Leicester fans that have been sort of wanting to see a bit more of Casadei. They won't see any more of him now because he's back with us. I was looking at that situation and I was thinking, do you know what? Like, you're getting good minutes, like way more minutes than, let's say, like an Amari Hutchinson or someone's getting over at Ipswich. You're getting good minutes, but you're not getting like elite level minutes and not enough maybe that we've probably seen enough from him. But one thing about Casadei, man, like I remember in that under 20 euros, was it under 21 euros? He's a very talented player and he plays beyond his years, doesn't he?
Yeah, pre-season as well, he looked really good, didn't he?
Yeah.
We saw a lot of minutes. He was probably one of the highest minutes of pre-season, wasn't he, the way that he played? I thought he was really good. And do you know what? It's one of those things where he came in from Inter Milan, you go, oh yeah, he's just going to be a dev squad player and he might be good eventually. We'll probably sell him on for a profit. That's the only reason why he's here. I think he can make a difference in the first team. I'm really excited to see him back. I really hope he plays.
Would you push against seeing a debut from him tonight in the cup against Borough?
I would not be opposed to that at all.
No.
I wouldn't. The only thing that would be the blocker for me is I think that Carney would be like a level above him, and I think I'd rather see Carney play if he is fit enough to play. I do think that Casadei will end up being a squad option for us going forward. I don't know how much he'll play, but then you got to consider this: Enzo's playing with a hernia. There's no reason why he might come out of the team because playing with a hernia is not a good idea really long term. Lavia will come back. You know, we need lots of options. Again, you know, you don't know if Caicedo's going to be fit all of the time. Gallagher's got an immense record, so he'll be playing week in, week out, won't he, really, for Chelsea? So I am excited to see him play. The interesting thing that I did hear, mate, and we must say this, is there was some rumours that Leicester are actually going to make a permanent signing this January in the midfield area, and that's why they were happy for Casadei to go. So I don't think it's as one-sided as the way that it's being portrayed at the moment, that Chelsea have recalled him. For him to be back in the playing squad, I think it may have been a mutual decision between the clubs.
But then that doesn't necessarily mean it's a tactical decision.
No.
It could just be a business decision, because why are we going to risk having a actual asset that we own for one that we're being lent, you know what I mean, and we're going to have to give back and miss out the chance on that because the player might not want to come because Casadei's in this position at the moment. So might not necessarily be tactical. I'll tell you what it does tell me though. Bit gutted about this, but it does tell me that we're in the dark, aren't we, with this Lavia injury? We don't know. He came back, had half hour, looked good, and now we're in the dark and we don't know. We haven't got an expected return date or anything like that. It tells me that maybe behind the scenes they know that Lavia's not going to actually be featuring anytime too soon.
Is it Lavia, Jerry, or is it Conor Gallagher?
Gallagher ain't going in this window.
He's not got long on his contract left. He isn't signing a new deal. I think there could be some movement at the end of this window about Conor Gallagher. You know what it's like. You know what this football club and the directors are like now. They are happy to move on players. And I'm hearing a lot of rumours that Spurs are preparing that bid. They've got money in the bank ready to go. And they're happy to sort of bid on Conor Gallagher.
And what are the rumours? What's the price?
Well, the rumours are that they're pulling together the money to get up to what Chelsea want. Chelsea want, what, 50, 55 million for Conor Gallagher, and he's absolutely worth that. And, you know, I think Spurs were in for 35, 40, and they need to get closer to our valuation. And
35, 40 is a joke. What do we get for Mason Mount?
What, 60, wasn't it?
Well, it needs to be that for Gallagher then, if not more.
Yeah, 100. I totally agree. Connor's a better player. You know, you can't really argue with that at the moment. So, mate, honestly, I do think there could be some movement in the window, and I really do hope that this isn't a indicator that Connor's leaving, and I hope it is an indicator that Lavia is injured, as you say. But I've got my worries, mate.
Yeah, same here. It's a difficult one. We're going to have to stick a pin in it and come back to it. But one man we are hearing will be leaving is Armando Broja. Now, there's every chance he might start in tonight's game against Borough. But if Armando Broja was to leave, we were hearing at first it would be on a permanent basis. Now we're hearing potentially about a loan. Let's say it was on a permanent basis. What is the price for Armando Broja?
I mean, you've got to look at the experience that he has in the Premier League. He can score goals. He's going to do it at another club. You know, I just know what's going to happen, mate. It's going to be another one of those players that ends up leaving us and becoming infinitely better. And he'll be more relaxed. He'll be fit. He'll be fighting, ready to go. He'll score goals in the Premier League. You just know it. He'll do that far better at another club when the pressure isn't on him versus what he would do at Chelsea. You just know that, right? So with all that in mind, his age, his profile, what he can do, you've got to say he's up there 45, 50 million at least.
Really?
You've got to.
You know, I'm playing devil's advocate on this, by the way. I really rate Armando Broja, but you know some people would be thinking, are you having a fucking laugh?
Yeah, but why? You look at the amount of time he's got left on his contract, his age, you know, the potential that he has, the way that he was rated at Southampton before this long-term injury, you know, the potential that he has to increase his value over time. He could be £100 million player in the future. He could be.
You remember, was it last season or the season before when he picks up the ball on the edge of the area against Wolves, cuts back and whips it into the bottom corner, right? Yeah. If at that moment right there you say to me that's a £50 million striker, I'm going, yeah. Definitely. It's just since the injury, since he's come back, and obviously people that understand football and definitely understand the sports science behind it, the injuries behind it, will tell me, well, yeah, of course, you've got a young player who done, what was it, cruciate ligament or whatever he had. And of course, they're not going to come back and hit the ground running. But to a casual football fan or whatever, you're going to look at his performances and say, oh, no, you've not recovered from that injury and you're not the same as you were before. And even before, there was only potential there.
I know this is disingenuous, right? But you look at Ivan Toney, and I'm not saying that Broja is anywhere near the quality of Ivan Toney before anyone has a go at me. But what I'm saying is Ivan Toney is going to leave in the summer with 12 months left on his deal, and he's going to go for 80 to 100 million pounds. So with that in mind, you look at Broja with time left on his contract, with the potential that he has in the rest of his career. He's got a lot more time at the top level than what Toney will have. Why is he not worth half the amount of money that Toney is?
Yeah. No, I do. I completely do get it. Obviously, another player that has left is Ian Maatsen. We spoke about that. He has a clause in his contract, or an option. It's not an obligation to buy,
It's not an obligation, but
it's an option to buy 35 million. Let's say, for example, we got 35 million in the summer for Ian Maatsen. Let's say we also got 35 million after a successful loan spell in the summer for Armando Broja, right? Then we got 70 mil raised up there. And then we've also got a few names that, you know, we've still got that could be going out, such as a Kepa Arrizabalaga. We got Hakim Ziyech. We might be able to get a fee from him. Maybe he'll see that, you know, Saudi money's there on the table and potentially we get rid of him. Kepa, we should definitely be able to get a fee for. It's not going to be ideal. We are going to lose money on Kepa. We're not going to get anywhere near what we got. But I still think you get. What would you get for Kepa? 30 mil?
No, honestly, nowhere near that, mate.
Really?
Nowhere near that. Well, Real Madrid have an option or sort of an opportunity, apparently.
How's he been? Sorry to interrupt you, but how's he been over there? Because I haven't really watched much of him. I know he's had a bit of a shocker of recent, but at the start, he was sort of faring quite well, wasn't he? The first sort of month or two?
Mate, Real Madrid fans hate him.
Really?
He's second choice.
Well, they're only human.
Yeah. And they know, welcome to Kepa.
Yeah.
Welcome to dealing with Kepa. Mate, he's going to be going for 15 million.
Really?
Yeah, maximum.
That's fucking rubbish.
It is what it is. He's only got a year left. Again, it's the contract situation makes a massive difference. Makes a massive difference.
Well, let's say he goes for 15 mil. Yeah, let's call that 85 mil. Yeah. Right? We've got other players in there like Trevor Chalobah, who's probably going to be moved on at some point.
He could be 30 million easy.
30 mil.
Yeah.
So we've got our Osman money right there. But we have got another man on the books who could warrant some significant money. However, there's a little bit of jeopardy around it now, and I'll explain the situation for anyone who doesn't understand who I'm talking about. It is that man, big bad Romelu Lukaku. He is on loan at Roma. Mourinho brought him in. He was doing the business for Mourinho, but obviously now Jose has been sacked. Everyone knows that because he's been rumoured with the Chelsea job left, right and centre. And now we're looking at how De Rossi's going to play with Roma, and is he even going to want to be using Romelu Lukaku? Will he go back to a Tammy Abraham? Will Romelu Lukaku feature as much? Now, Romelu Lukaku's stats aren't bad. I think he's got, 16 goals in 25 games in all competitions or something like that for Roma this season. He's been doing quite well. But going forward now, has he done enough to either warrant Roma wanting to take him on? And I think that price was around 40 million, was it?
I think it was about 30 odd.
30 odd, call it 30. Or has he done enough to put himself in the shop window for a move to another sort of Europa League or Champions League side?
I think with his CV, he's got enough in the bank to warrant a decent move for a decent amount of money. The the question that I'm going to pose to you now is, with Broja, if Broja does leave and you had the opportunity to have Romelu back for 6 months, would you do that deal?
In this window?
Yeah. I don't think this is actually going to happen, but just because of the loan clauses, etc. But if it was an option, would you do it? It's not an easy decision.
Do you know what? I've said it before, right? I've used this analogy before. It's like the ex-bird that did you wrong, and you don't ever want to give her the time of day again. But she's not a bad shag.
But you still love her a little bit. You still love her a little. This is like, the way I'm describing it, mate, is a bit like doing a deal with the devil. This is because it's like, you know what Lukaku brings. He brings all the shit. He brings the amount of wages that he's on. He brings all the bad publicity, the bad drama. But he'd probably score a couple of goals in the Premier League.
Right, cards on the table right now. If, regardless, if we can swap Broja for Lukaku at this second right now, do we do it? Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe you said that. You're going to get pelters.
Oh.
You're going to get absolute pelters. I'm sorry, I've done you there.
I feel like he'd come in and bang a few goals for us, to be honest.
Do you know what, mate? I think if I'm being honest, I probably would agree with you, but I'd really hate myself.
Is this the most fitted system to a Romelu Lukaku we've played even since before we brought him back to the bridge?
Yeah, probably is.
Like, under Tuchel, we was playing the 3 at the back, 5 at the back with the wing backs and whatnot. Now we've gone to a 4 at the back. You know, we are seeing a lot of the time there's a lot of balls whipped along the floor in the box and things like that and put into the box, and we're sort of looking at it and thinking, okay, a clinical number 9, and is Lukaku that clinical number 9 to carry us forward? I don't know, but would he get more goals than Armando Broja is getting at the moment? Yeah. Would he get more goals than Nicholas Jackson's getting at the moment?
I don't know if he would. Now, that's the difference. Like, I actually really like Jackson now. He's turned a corner, and in my estimations, he's gone up.
He's turned a corner since he went to the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, exactly. No, do you know what, though? Saying that, mate, I think he's turned a corner, as you say, because you miss him. Yeah. He's like the girl that goes off and goes on holiday, and you go, I really do miss that girl. I want to come home.
Yeah.
Oh, young love, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I look at it at the moment, and I think maybe Nicholas Jackson's a very, very different type of player to Lukaku. And do you know what, mate? I'm still not convinced that I think Nicholas Jackson's better position is the number 9 anyway. Quite liked him on the wing when we saw it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But that's not a reason to start Romelu, is it? But yeah, mate, that just shows you, I have to say, I think a lot of Chelsea fans would disagree with us.
I think you just got to weigh up like pros and cons, realistically. Are Lukaku's goals, that are guaranteed, by the way, they are guaranteed that he's going to, if he came in for call it 20 games in cup competitions as well, is he in those 20 games going to score probably 12 goals? I'd say so. Probably. You know what I mean? Is Armando Broja, if he gets 20 more games, going to score 12 goals?
No.
He's not, is he? No. So then you go, okay, you've got a guarantee that he outscores Armando Broja, albeit I'm not saying he's going to come in and be absolutely prolific. Like, if you actually go on matches scored him, because he might get a couple of braces or something, I'm not saying he's going to be scoring in every other match. Like, I'm just saying he probably gets 12 goals or whatever. And then you weigh up the risk as opposed to the reward, and you go, right, he could be bad on the dressing room.
Doesn't really care. Doesn't really want to be at Chelsea.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But then, mate, like, we can't underemphasize how important the manager is to that. And if he comes in and he has a good relationship with Pochettino, and you know, he does suit a Pochettino style. Pochettino always likes a big target man up front. He does do that. Was
there some history between Romelu and Pochettino? Like, wasn't Pochettino a big admirer of Romelu when he was sort of like flirting with coming back to Chelsea.
Everyone's a bigger. I mean, I remember Pochettino being asked about in pre-season, and he said every player's in my plans. He said every player contracts Chelsea is in my plans, basically until they're not in my plans. So. Could happen. It could happen, but I don't think we'll see much movement on that. And let's say, for example, we do get 30 million for him. Well, with the sales we've just counted there, right? If you get 35 million for Bro, if you get 35 million for Ian Matson, if you get 10 mil for Ziyech, if you get 10 mil for Kepa, and if you get 30 mil for Lukaku, all that, we've got enough just there to be able to go, right, okay, we can go out and we can hit that Osimhen release clause, right? So does every indication so far of how business is going in this transfer window tell you that that is the plan? Or is there a little-known Frenchman who might fancy one last dance who we could be looking to attract?
I don't think Osimhen even is agreed in January. I really don't. I can't see it happening. So when you're thinking about a certain Frenchman that plays in Saudi Arabia that might want one last dance, in a league that he hasn't performed in before, in Benzema, I think you got to go. There's a potential there.
But the wage thing, how do we do it with the wages?
I think with all of these lads that are playing in Saudi Arabia, they know that if they come back to Europe, they're going to be taking a pay cut, and it's whether you're happy enough to stay and play in Saudi Arabia with the league system and the team performance, and maybe Benzema thinks that he can do it for 6 more months at a top league. Or maybe he goes, I'm very happy to continue playing in Saudi Arabia, but I have to say, mate, the body language, the way that he's turning up to training, it doesn't indicate that he's up for playing there. It really doesn't. So there's definitely something going on with that. And I don't know if it will end up with him coming to Chelsea. I don't know if it will end up with him moving even in January. But it definitely seems that I don't think Benzema may be there beyond the summer. And he might end up going to MLS or something.
Would you take Benzema if it was like at the end of the season, if we signed him on a 2-year contract or something like that? Would you take him then? Or are you sort of thinking, right, it's mad that we're even saying this, and a player of Benzema's standard, Ballon d'Or winner less than 2 years ago, and now where we're sitting in the Premier League, is he the stopgap option for us?
I think you have to say with his age, 36, you know he has got immense quality, but at that age, you're looking at players winding down their career in striking positions, and you look at players, going to play in the MLS. That's the career trajectory that I think he'll do now. I think he'll move on from Saudi and go and play in the MLS and be very good there and actually have a great time.
Stopgap options haven't like fared badly for us in the past, though. For example, when Denver Bar first came in, bit of a stopgap option. I know he stayed a little bit longer, but at first was pretty good. Eto'o, he scored a few goals for us. Loic Remy scored a few goals for us. I'm not saying any of them came in and they were prolific. And obviously then for every, example I just used, you could then throw the old Higuain, Alexandre Pato at me. There are other ones. So it's a mixed bag, isn't it, when we do this sort of business?
Yeah, it absolutely is. But I think with his record that he's got, that he's going to be immense quality. And I have to say, more than anything, mate, what have we been saying over and over again? Experience. We haven't had any experience in the team. And so having a captain level, someone that's been there, done it, won Champions Leagues, won La Ligas, actually carry teams on his back more sometimes. And that's no, discredit to a Real Madrid team that were one of the best in the world, but he was just immense in some of those seasons that he was playing for them. So you can understand why they're looking at him. I agree with you though. I think it's going to be a very, very, very difficult deal to do. And
give me a likelihood percentage of us even going for him, not of us getting him, because at the moment, apart from paper talk and whatnot, there's not really any indication that we're even going to go for him, apart from people like me and you on YouTube. We need to fucking get him.
Well, I mean, we do need him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's about 30 or 40%. I think the directors are going a different route. And unless it becomes panicked, unless it becomes where Broja is loaned and then with an obligation, and Nkunku doesn't look like he's going to be fit enough, Jackson is still away in AFCON, then you go, well, we really do need an option, because David Washington, young kids. Like,
not going to play, is he?
I think he's a dev squad. I think he's a dev squad player. I really do. And he's looked fine when he's played, but he needs some time to progress as a player. Probably needs 2 or 3 years of loans to even be, ready for the Premier League. So when you look at it like that, mate, you're starting to worry, aren't you?
I just think we're the club with the most uncertainty about actually where we are actually at. Because as much as you can say, oh, your team cost X, Y, and Z, and you've spent this much money, we've got so many injuries. And because some of these injuries are to players that have just come in, obviously like in Nkunku and like Lavia, and even like Hani Chukwuemeka to an extent, we don't know just yet how important these players are going to be in the future for Chelsea. And not like young players, if they come to, if they come good. What I'm saying is, like, Nkunku, we don't know just yet whether he's Chelsea's number 9 and whether he's a guy that's going to bang 20 league goals a season for us, or we don't know whether he's a 10 or whether he's a wide player, whatever, because he's going to need, 10 starts before we can even really know, right, this is where he's going to play and this is what he's going to do. So, at the minute, it's like, do you risk parting with more money when you don't know the parts you've actually got right now because they're injured? Do you know what I mean? So it's a very hard one, and that's the only reason why I do lean towards a Benzema loan deal, because then I'm like, well, look, if it ain't, if it doesn't handle or end up the way we want it to end up, it's only a 6-month loan anyway. So
yeah, 100%, and that's why I would look to do it. But mate, it's going to be so difficult. It's going to be so difficult to get that done with the amount of money that we're going to have to spend and the amount of wages that he's going to have to forego. I think it's a bit pie in the sky. So while we would love it to happen, I don't think it will. Mate, I'm going to make a prediction as well, by the way. I have a sneaky suspicion that Osimhen is going to be a very difficult deal to do. So my Mystic Meg for the summer is that Osimhen ends up going to, another club. And
really?
Yeah. So this is my wild theory. I've got nothing to base this on, and I think we end up going for Šeško. He's got a £50 million release clause in the summer. Very affordable. And so
it's just a lot less certainty with him coming in and doing it for us than Osimhen. I feel like wherever Osimhen goes, he's going to tear it up.
So do you know what, mate? Another way you could look at this is get Osimhen in, get Šeško as well, because that's £170 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but we're saying we're going to raise at least 150, 160 minimum, with the transfers that we've got to do. And then you've got to look at how transfers are amortized and, the amount of money that we're actually spending in that sort of accounting year is less than 100 million. So maybe we do end up going for both, because as we've said, Jackson's home might be on the wing.
Tell you what, that would be a power move, wouldn't it, if we done that? And do you know what? It's not unheard of. Like, what did City do in the same window as getting Haaland in?
Yeah.
Got Alvarez in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's playing slightly deeper now, but it's a like for like at the time in terms of who starts up there. We knew it was going to be Haaland, but, and with City's bending to the rules, there's absolutely no way on earth they paid 62 million for Haaland. That's a load of bollocks.
I have to say, what we've shown though is that we need a complete revolution of our striking positions, and if Broja is going to go, which it absolutely looks like it's going to, we need to rip it up, don't we?
Yeah. But people, we want to know, what do you guys think? What are you thinking about the January transfer window? Have you been underwhelmed to not see us do anything? Or do you think it's smart because there's been such upheaval and arrivals and uncertainty in the club that maybe we just need to settle down a little bit? One thing before we go, I want to mention today, a lot of you guys might be wondering where these podcasts are brought to you by, and they are bought from Podcast Room in Barnes. So if you're in the London area and you want to have a place really, really nice to record your sort of content like this, hit the link in the description. It's going to take you to the Podcast Room website, and then you can book through them. Tell them Joey sent you, and they will give you a good deal. Guys, once again, thank Josh Aveste for coming over to the channel today by hitting the link in the description and subscribing to his channel, and I will see you all in the next one.